Hey everyone, happy Monday. I hope that you are having a great start to the week. I decided last night that I was going to absolutely kick some Corona ass this week, starting with today. If you're like me, then you're having a ton of fun on the weekend. And it's a little bit hard to want to jump back in on Monday, but it's amazing how when you set your mind, the difference that it makes in moving forward. So when you join me today, please do me a huge favor and say hello to Mike Michalowicz. For those of you who have followed me for very long, you know this guy pretty well. We started doing Facebook Live interviews 2 years ago already. I didn't even know how to properly say your last name then. Now I'm like saying it like a pro and can spell it without spell check. So I'm pretty proud of myself. So Mike, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
It's my pleasure. I'm really happy that we're doing this. It's such a timely need. So thanks for putting this together.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for offering. You know, I love an entrepreneur's heart and somebody who's really dedicated to their mission. And Mike, immediately when I made the connection with him last week, he's like, hey, let's deliver for your people. And I'm like, absolutely. And so I have to give you lots of credit for just jumping in and saying, let's do this. So I want to say hi to Veronica and Helen and Whitney. Yeah. I'm happy to say hi to you when you put your name in, but I cannot see who joins us. So if you want some acknowledgement, say hello. So Mike, let's just jump right in. At the very beginning of this conversation, before we went live, I said, what are you seeing from your vantage point? So let's start there.
And I've prepared graphics for it. So I'm going to hold these up to the screen. If someone wants to take a screenshot of these, you can see them there, and I'll explain this. But it's also downloadable. So the website I made, it's called recessionresponse.com. So this is how it works. So the reason this is the business crisis trend, and I hope you can see the whole thing. I'll kind of slide it back and forth here. The business crisis trend, and as I've been through two small business recessions, or two recessions so far with my small businesses. This is now the third. It was interesting. There's always a trigger event. So back in 2001 was the dot-com bubble and the terrorist attacks, and all of a sudden, a already unstabilized economy dropped, and we went to recession. 2008, we had a repeat. We went to the Great Recession, and what the trigger was this time was the housing collapse. Now it's 2020. We already had a destabilized economy. We're now into recession, and the trigger. We're not into legally defined recession. The government will take another like 6 months to a year to say it is in recession, but we're in recession. And the trigger was COVID. And what's interesting to me and what I wanted to share is the response of business owners. So I'm not sure if you can see this, but the first stage here is shock. And this is like the stages of grieving. If you're in a car accident or if there's macro crisis like we're experiencing now, it's the same kind of sequence. But in macro crisis, it's a herd mentality. So people kind of move in synchronicity. The first stage is shock. And shock is the freeze up stage. And we're not totally out of the shock stage yet, but some chiropractors, some business owners are like, I'm done. I don't know what to do. And they just totally freeze. Their action is total inaction. And what happens is if you respond to crisis in inaction, you will fall down to what I call business collapse. It is a quick downward spiral. The next stage of business crisis is called desperation. Desperation is where we over respond, and we already see it happening in the general market with like toilet paper, like this crazy rush to buy toilet paper. There's one story of a person in New Jersey who has a garage full of toilet paper, and now the problem is, what's he gonna do with all his freaking toilet paper? Like that, he's got a supply for the next 50 years. He's gonna buy dehumidifiers and systems to maintain his toilet paper, but it points to the illogical extreme response. That's called the desperation moves. It's massive action, but it's often the wrong actions. How we see it in business now is many business owners I see are rushing to get loans without understanding the consequence of loans. It's not free money. It can result in interest, but I'll tell you this: a loan is a loan is a loan. When we borrow money to solve a situation, it means we have a situation. So therefore, we got to fix the problem. The loan is a Band-Aid, but this could be a gaping wound. When you put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound, you are not going to resolve it. So do we need that? So we need to have and get into the next stage. And my goal on our call here is to get to this phase. It says evaluation. Evaluation is where we enter the consideration stage. Some people enter stagnation, analysis paralysis. So we need to be evaluate what does our business really need from us, and then it starts the upward trend. The next part is I'm sorry, it was on this side. Is deliberate action. Deliberate action is where we take action that's truly in the best interest of the business, and it's one step at a time. We're in quicksand here. So to get out, we got to grab on and pull forward and grab and pull forward, but can go in one direction, not in spirals. But if we start taking deliberate action, we will move and position ourselves for what's called the surge or burst stage. And the surge stage is the best side of this. There are customers that will use this situation as an opportunity to seek a new chiropractor. There's customers that have always been waffling, saying, I don't really know if I really like my doctor, and I really should change, but haven't consciously really thought about it. Now they're using the crisis as an excuse, saying, oh, you know what? Screw my doctor. It's COVID. I can't go in anymore anyway. I'll find a new doctor. And they're waiting on the sidelines. There's other ones who are financially in a situation where they're justifying other spends of their money over chiropractic services. But what I will tell you is you have your competition that is either in shock or desperation that's going out of business. So you're starting to see a decreasing supply of providers, less chiropractors, but there was going to be an increasing demand. Now, I don't know when this happens, if this is 6 more weeks, 6 more months, or a year from now. I don't know when it's going to happen. But in every recession, there's a rebound. The rebound is there's going to be a large number of customers now with a decreased supply. That gap is massive opportunity. So we want to be in the position for it. Also, the customers, you are losing customers now. I know there's legal requirements around it. You can't, you'll be within proximity to someone else. But I'm going to show you solutions of how you can start giving new offerings. Additionally, some of your customers will leave because they were waffling about you, that 10%. The mistake that business owners make is say, oh my gosh, I had 500 patients. I'm losing 50 patients. I need to save those 50 patients. Realize if you look instead of downstream to who you're losing, look upstream to all of your competitors out there that collectively have 500,000 customers or 50,000, whatever it is in your area, or even if it's just 5,000 in your area, they're being satisfied or serviced by other chiropractors. They're losing 10%. So it's freed up upstream as 500 customers are now available and you're losing 50. Let's not look at the 50 lost. Let's look at capturing those 500. And I'll give you a couple of techniques right now. Start by providing educational services. Get on YouTube. Start telling prospective patients and your existing patients how they can do reasonable self-care, what they can do in the absence of you not being able to provide for them. Tell them some other healthy habits, in what I call micro tips, proper ways to sleep. Like, here's things you can do just when you go to bed to take better care of yourself. Stretching. Maybe there is some self-chiropractic stuff you can do or totally should avoid doing. Stop trying to adjust yourself and rolling your neck around. It's the worst thing you could do. But tell customers, start giving them direction. So those people who are leaving their chiropractor who they didn't like or didn't want to use anymore now have someone new that they now know, like, and trust because you're educating them. So that's the basic of the crisis. I have a lot of stuff I just want to share, but I don't want to be a diatribe here. Do you want me to continue on with other tips, Barbara, or do you want to talk about that?
No, I think you're doing great. I wanted to feed back to free money and loans and tell you all that, I see that subject like I see vaccines. I'm never going to tell you what thing to do with that. Do I have strong opinions? I do. Here's the most important thing. Become educated. Yeah. Become educated. Like, that's why I've done several webinars about the stimulus package, so that if that's something you want to do, you have answers and you can evaluate it. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I already filled out all this stuff and I applied for the loans, like, don't panic. It's okay. Just learn and listen. Like, I think in this period of panic, it's really easy to second guess everything we do. Like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done that. 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 And I just encourage all of you, just like, give yourself grace. We haven't been here before. So at any rate, I wanted to speed bump over that because I have done a lot of education on that. And I want everyone to recognize it's so important to know what's right for you. And I think that's one of the things that we're seeing in this chaos too, is that when things are good, it's easy to ride somebody else's wave, right? What's the comment, the Warren Buffett?
He said, when the tides go out, you see who has been swimming naked.
You see who's been swimming naked, right? So when it's gone, and if you've been riding something else and been able to get by, now it's just the rubber meets the road, and that's okay. Like, there's still lots of hope. And that's why we're doing this today, is to give you the things that you can do. And I ask that you see that this isn't just for COVID, that these systems are for ongoing success and building strong relationships and alliances in your business. So yes, micro tips. I think another thing with micro tips, everyone, please don't take for granted the simple stuff.
Right.
Even something like, drink your body weight in ounces of water. Well, what if you gave a YouTube video of why that, right? So you're not just telling people what to do or how to do it, but giving them the education to understand why they're doing what they're doing, because that's really what empowerment is. Empowerment is when we take action and understand why we're doing so. Okay.
Yeah, and so I see Paul saying more social media tips. I'll give you a couple of elements around it, and then I'm going to go into some cost control. So YouTube is probably my preferred and suggested platform. And the reason YouTube is so good is it's owned by Google, it's highly searchable. And even if you don't have a presence there now, if you start immediately, you'll be okay. You'll probably get some recognition. I presume as a chiropractic doctor, chances are you serve a regional area. So do videos that speak to your region. So I'm in a town called Boonton. I would love to see, health tip for Boonton residents with water consumption or drinking water. And then that's where my chiropractor for Boonton is coming on saying, drink, your body weight. And these small actionable tips are very helpful, and do an endless stream of them. I also suggest keep your videos to 2 minutes or less. So they're very tangible, and give the tip and strategy already within the first 10 seconds. Get to the meat fast. It used to be you could do a build up and say, hey, I'm from Boonton. Boonton has a lot of stuff going on. I'm a chiropractic doctor. One question you may be having is how much water? No, none of that stuff. Simply say, water is critical to your health. I want to share a tip about your body weight and this relation to water. Drink your body weight. And this is why. Now you've already given the tip, and then go into it. I'm a chiropractic doctor in Boonton, blah, blah, blah.
Love it.
Next tip. Yeah. Recession response, not recession resource. So it's recession response. There's the domain right there. Recessionresponse.com is the domain. This is, and you'll get this worksheet there, a recession response, that I have a checklist of ways to manage cash flow. But I just want to highlight a couple things. One is credit cards. One of the most common forms of payment right now are credit cards and debit cards. And when we feel overwhelm and paralysis, we often won't be able to evaluate all those charges that are coming in, and we actually leave them and let them go. There may be costs you're incurring that are not appropriate. There's subscriptions you aren't using. So here's a real simple hack. Cancel your credit cards. Get them reissued. Now, I'm not saying cancel your credit. Just call the credit card company and say, give me new cards. It's equivalent of lost or stolen. Make sure you confirm. Don't transfer any of the subscriptions over. The idea now is all those charges that are automatically hitting your card will stop. And all those vendors will call you and say, we can't receive your payment. This will give you the time to say, oh, okay, now I know who you are. Let's pay that. Or, oh my gosh, that's a subscription I don't need. I need to cancel this immediately. So it's a real simple hack to get control over your cost spend immediately, as opposed to being paralyzed.
Hey, Mike, let's talk about that for a second. A lot of those subscriptions docs have had for years, and it's like, oh, it's only whatever. It's only $40 or it's only $70 or $50 or whatever. Like, I'll just keep it.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the cumulative effect?
Totally. Just the 10 times multiplier. Anything you say, it's only whatever, multiply that by 10, because there's usually 10 instances of that occurring per month hidden away. And like $70, it's only $70 times 10. That's $700 a month. My gosh. Like that's enough for food for a family, that's a lot of money. That could get covered. So just do a 10 times multiplier. The danger of subscriptions is intentionally to sell them. They reduce the monthly cost point, but the cumulative is relatively rich. And these can add up very quickly. So monitor that. Now, the other thing is there may be subscriptions you can get tremendous benefit from. Are you extracting the benefit? Listen, I was paying for a CRM and an email system. I realized when I called the CRM company, they already had an email system built in. I didn't need both. And the email company had a CRM. I had redundancy, so I ditched one and I retained the other. So make sure you're extracting all the value out of your out of the tools you have.
Yeah. So let me speed up on that. My advice to all of you would be when you look at the subscriptions you're paying for, ask yourself, am I extracting all the value? And if the answer is no, who can I ask on how I can extract all of the value? Like, if I were you, I wouldn't, like, I never go through and try and figure out how to best use somebody else's product. I ask them.
Yeah.
And you could even say, so let's say it's the CRM thing. Say to them, like, I'm thinking about canceling because this company offers the same thing and I'm paying that subscription too. Sell me on staying with you. Right? Sell me on staying with you for your CRM or your email marketing or whatever, and find out all of the tools that it has that you're not using. Like if you're in the boot camp, like there's a ridiculous amount of training, like press play. It's that hard, like press play. And make sure that you're not doing that when we're worried that we take action, don't just think about it. You got to take action about these things, or it's really easy to stay stuck in fear.
Right. We value, investment's good when we are invested in the outcome, when we actually invest our time in extracting the value. Another tip here is to renegotiate terms with your vendors for cost control. If you're renting space, there's what they call first asker advantage. And the first person to ask for leniency on rent or terms will get it. The second possibly, and the third no way. So if you're in a multi-tenant space, and it's a little bit draconian, but you got to be the first to ask. We went to our landlord 6 weeks ago, and we're the first in our building to say things have changed. We have not, and you have to be integral too. We said we've not been financially impacted, and we don't know if we will. But the fact we have a 5-year lease puts us at risk. What we'd like to ask is shorten us to a 1-year lease, and we'll continue to pay the installments as we agreed upon, the lease payments monthly. But can we get a 1 year? And can we come back to you if things change dramatically? And he said, yeah. So we've shortened up our lease term, and right now our financials are staying solid. So we're paying our lease. But the first asker advantage, if you're not the first to ask, you're going to be abandoned. So just remember that. Introduce, because I'm going to talk about some new services you can introduce new payment plans. 0% financing. There's companies out there, you can type in 0% financing companies and have people pay you for some services, and the company takes over the responsibility. You get all the cash up front. May not be perfect for you, but ACH transfer is an option. Credit card you probably already accept. Cash discount for prepays. You can do things like that. Another technique is if people want to continue to come to you, but are having trouble affording or saying they can't afford it, you can do a simple, hey, what can you afford, or what is reasonable for you strategy. And what you do in this scenario is move them to a higher frequency than you see them. So if you see a customer once a month, ask them, well, what could you afford on a weekly basis? And often by moving things to smaller increments and smaller amounts, it becomes more tangible. So for a visit, if you charge someone, say $100 for a visit, ask them, what could you afford on a weekly basis? Well, they say, $15 a week I could afford. Okay, well, on a monthly basis now, that's $60. So it's a little bit of reduction, but now you can get them in a billing installment plan that's more palatable and tangible for them. So change the frequency, and it can be easier to consume. Okay, just a couple other things I want to go through. Definitely get a weekly call going with whoever your accounting or bookkeeping professional is, just to check in. And I'm sure most of them won't even charge you for it, but just ask them for a 5-minute check-in and say, what do my numbers say? Because you may be feeling that you're having certain challenges going on in your business, but you want to see what the numbers say. Now, I realize for many chiropractors, you may be cold on your ability to see people face to face, but there's other things you can do. And as you introduce new things, and we'll talk about that in a second, what are the numbers saying? So just get a regular dialogue going. There's an opportunity to enact bold moves here. This may be the best opportunity ever to acquire another chiropractic practice. So there may be another chiropractor out there that says, you know what, I'm giving up, and they're freeing up 500 patients into the market. Go to that chiropractor and say, listen, I would love to take over your business and take these projects, and I'll pay you money as they start rendering services. So the beautiful thing is that there's no cost up front here, and now you've acquired a firm. That's a bold move, but actually this is a great opportunity to do it.
Can I make a speed bump right there?
Yeah.
Like this is one of my most favorite. We've been talking about this in the boot camp for a couple of weeks. Is most chiropractic offices are only open 20 or 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a bunch of them on even one street. So I think now is a great time for individuals to come together. And just like Mike was saying, if you go to a chiropractor who you find out is struggling, or maybe, they closed up and you actually they could be open, perhaps see that you are part of their solution too. Like maybe they even come and work for you. You require other practice members. They come and work for you, and you guys work out either an independent or an associate position. And remember, you would never bring somebody on as an associate if the income doesn't support it, right? So don't see them as a cost, but more so a way that you're going to have an influx of new practice members, a way to already service those new practice members and quickly grow your business while also having a little bit more flexibility and free time, because now it'll be two of you serving that group. So this is a time for expansion for many, and you're doing them a favor. You're not hurting them. You're doing them a favor and your community a favor by making them viable in your own practice. Or look and see too, like I said the other day, on the ask first. So let's say that you asked first, and another chiropractor and their landlord told them, no, we're not going to do that. Perhaps it's time to combine practices. You don't have to have the same technique and the same philosophy and everything to share a door and to share a roof. Just simply do not. You can have two names on the same practice. I've seen it done lots of times very successfully, and you suddenly put a bunch of money in your pocket because your overhead went down.
Yeah. Yeah. So another technique is with your accounting system. I encourage everyone to do this, is set up a GL account. That's a general ledger. Your bookkeeper can do it if you want, but set up one that says COVID, COVID. And the reason is we need to track any expenses you incur associated with COVID. And if you haven't done this yet, it's okay. We still have time. Well, look at some of the historical expenses, but you'll likely incur more. Cleaning supplies you need. The fact that you have to go remote, maybe you have to set up some remote equipment to connect with customers. Maybe you have other doctors that you practice with and you have to have meetings. Any time or product costs you incur related to the COVID response, you want to track in your accounting system. Here's the reason why. That if there's a government reimbursement in the future, you have to be able to identify what expenses you incurred. So you already have it tracked now. If there's any kind of insurance reimbursement, it's there. Additionally, if you ever need to do a recast, meaning say you need to get a loan in the future for some reason, and you show this dip in your business, you need to be able to extract and say, here's what happened during this period. If you ever want to sell your business, your valuation is going to be dependent upon your proof of profitability, and you need to be able to extract COVID. So by accounting for it now, you protect your business in the long term, and it's really simple. It takes no time to set it up. So do that now. All right, there's a dozen more other tips. Like I said, I have this at recessionresponse.com. No sign up or anything. You can just download the stuff you want, copy it, print it, do whatever you want with it, and delete what you don't want. Here's some more rapid fire stuff. Okay, the Pareto overlap, if you can see that on the screen, also available at that same website, is a study in the 80-20 rule, but it's really just interesting application. It's an overlap of two elements. Here's the top 20% of your customers. Here's the lower 80%, 60 plus 20. And here's your offering, if you can see that on the screen. This is the different services you offer as a chiropractor. your best customers, these are customers that pay you the most. They come frequently. You love working with them. They're very appreciative of what you do, who are buying your best offering are the customers you need to protect. Actively, proactively reach out to them. Check in. How are you doing? Here's a way that you can, serve yourself. You cannot afford to lose those customers in the long term. So just reach out. And these are personal contacts. I actually suggest doing it via video. I use a utility called BombBomb, which is a for fee service. There's another one called Loom, Loom, where you can do these videos at no cost. So maybe you want to check them out and send them videos saying, hey, it's Dr. Mike just checking in to see how you're doing. And I want to share a little strategy, Barbara, with you that you can do. So do it personally. Protect those relations. They're critical to you. There's another customers. These are customers at the very bottom of the list, the lower 20% that buy, they make you no money. These are the customers that were never happy, complaining, you're a quack. They're threatening, I'm going to go on Yelp and slam you. Those customers we must jettison right now. Like, get rid of them. You can blow them off. You just say, hey, we're not able to provide service anymore, because those customers are an emotional cost and not providing any return. In fact, they're considered poison. And why don't you put them in the market? Why don't you have your competitors take on the poison, but you can't keep swallowing poison? Two other scenarios: best customers buying your best offering. Your worst offering. These customers are the ones that are nice customers, but you don't make money off them. That is an educational opportunity. As they return seeking services, educate them on your services that are more profitable and of better service to them. The other scenario is bad customers buying best offering. That used to be actually a jettison scenario. People we want to remove because they're a distraction. They make us money, but they're really difficult to deal with. Now it's a relationship situation where you tell them, we want to continue to service you, but here's how you have to behave. Like, you got to pay on time. We expect you to be at appointments on time. This is how we'll serve you. And if you can't comply with that, we understand, but we're not a fit for you. So that's the Pareto overlap. You got 4 quadrants. Protect those key customers and jettison the others. Here's the key thing I really wanted to get to. So let's dig right into it. I think this is the most important strategy I can share with you. It's called the one-step back method, and also available. All of these are at the same site. But you start with your historical offering. This is, and I'll give an example of a restaurant. What is the final historical thing you used to provide to customers? So restaurants, because they're shut down too, you put food on a table. We then ask, this is our final offering, what happens one step immediately before putting food on the table? Well, one step prior, we carry food to the table. Okay, that could be a new offering, carry out or takeout or delivery. And a lot of restaurants are doing this. The smart ones, to Barbara's point, are collaborating. There's a restaurant in town that teamed up with a food truck. The food truck is doing deliveries to neighborhoods, and the restaurant has become a kitchen. They're preparing foods as fast as possible. But then we ask again, what happens one step before delivering food to a table? Well, it's prepared in the kitchen. Okay, that is now an offering potential. Why not sell our 10 most popular recipes? Why not sell a video of our chef teaching people how to prepare these recipes? Why not have a cooking class where people can remotely connect in, and we'll spend a 2-hour cooking class together teaching our most popular recipes and sell that? Well, what happens one step prior to that? Well, one step prior to cooking food, restaurants have to procure the inventory, which is the meats, the vegetables, all those ingredients. Why not sell the ingredients? Now you become like a blue apron for your community. So the opportunity here is to realize your final offering that you've delivered as a chiropractor has always been an accumulation of other mini offerings. What are all the steps you were taking to get to this final offering? Those all could be new services that you sell to your clients. And I want to remind you, you have an obligation to sell to your clients. You have to find out what they need and sell to them, because if you just give yourself away, it's not sustainable and you will be out of business. And if you're out of business, then our clients can't be served going forward. So that's not a formula. That's a win-win. That's a win-loss. We need win-win. If you don't know what to offer your customers, do the one-step back method. If that's too overwhelming, here's a real simple method. Reach out to your customer base and simply say, how can I serve you in these new circumstances, in these new times? What challenges are you facing with your health that I can possibly serve you with? And get their feedback and address that accordingly.
I love that. What a simple thing.
Yeah, simple.
Just to break it down.
Yeah, simple and powerful. Here's another strategy I wanted to share with you. I call it the rapid growth analysis. And listen, we got to rapidly improve things. Maybe we're not going to be growing, but we got to sustain. And it's a real simple analysis. There's two columns. This column here says is working. This column says is not working. And these are the different categories of business: marketing, sales, your products, if you sell products, services, and the overall operations. And what I want you to do is you can just print this sheet out. You can draw it out on a piece of paper. Is write down for each category, what are the things you know are working? What of your marketing is working? I tried that YouTube video and some people responded. What's not working? I sent a postcard out to customers. They didn't respond. So write down the things that are working, is not working, and you do for each category. That is real simple. Whatever has historically been working or is working recently for you, do more of that. Amplify it. Whatever's not working, you diminish that. That's the stuff we want to jettison and remove. The trap we fall into in times like this is we do things that aren't working actually faster. It's because we don't know what to do, and we just start jumping on something that's not productive. This little simple system gives you temporary pause to evaluate, is there really benefit here or not? And if there is, do more of it. And if it isn't, ditch it. So that's the rapid growth strategy or analysis.
And Mike, let's go to the quantification of the working, not working.
Yeah.
I can see some heads just kind of pondering that in the crowd. How do you define that?
Right. So you first define the result.
Yeah.
So let's talk about marketing.
Postcard, but
so marketing, I want to get customers in to a new subscription that I'm going to offer. Okay. So that's the result. The question is, what are you doing that's driving that? If nothing, we start testing. If something is driving that, we want to amplify and improve it. And something is not, we want to diminish it. So let me tell you this. So I'm working with a chiropractor. Her name is Dr. Nancy. And we went into a subscription model. First day had $800 plus in revenue, first day. And it's, this is recurring revenue. And what she did is she reached out to her customer base and simply said, how can I serve your health when we can't be physically, in proximity? And they said, well, I want to know strategies for sitting posture because I'm sitting all the time now. I'm doing all these Zoom meetings and so forth like I've never done before. And what's proper, how do I maintain my health in doing this? Posture was the big component. She says, okay. And she developed a posture program. Then she started marketing. The first thing that she did was email her list. The second thing was she did a YouTube video around it. Well, she found by emailing her list, that was working. People started signing up on the spot. The YouTube got some interest, but no one signed up. So what was working was to do more emails. So she started sending out more emails and got more subscriptions. What wasn't working was YouTube. So she diminished the YouTube in regards to trying to get customers, but she amplified it because she noted it got more engagement from the community and started to add to her list. So she said, okay, YouTube works in building my list, not selling stuff. So I'm just going to do more educational on YouTube and build my list. So figure out what's the result you want. Then evaluate, is it driving the result or not? That's the process.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll do a couple more strategies here. Okay. I want to show you this technique called the 10-10-10 method. This is developed by a woman named 𝐒𝐢𝐦𝐻𝐥. And I just interpreted it here to this worksheet. So it's simplified, but there's a book called 10-10-10 that's very powerful by 𝐒𝐢𝐦𝐻𝐥. Here's what we do. Whatever we're considering in the moment right now, most of us are stuck in the first 10, which stands for 10 minutes, but we're not considering the midterm or long term. So one thing may be like, should I get this loan? That's an example. Should I get this loan? Well, you write down the consideration and then you write, how will I feel about the decision in the next 10 minutes? Well, if I get this loan, I feel relief. I actually feel kind of good about it. Okay, how will I feel in 10 months? Well, 10 months from now, I may have to pay it back. And if I borrowed money, and I have to pay it back, that means I have to make more money in the future to pay back this loan. I may be a little upset about that. Maybe it'll be waived and they'll just forgive the loan. Chances are they won't, by the way. There's still laws around that they're considering. But so maybe it's a frowny face. In 10 years, I may have not made decisions about the health of my business. And in 10 years, I may actually have a compromised business. So in 10 years, I may look back on that and said, I put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. So if we just look at 10 minutes, we're like, this is something I should do. But when we reflect over midterm and long term, we put much more thoughtful consideration in it. The beautiful thing about this system is you don't even need this piece of paper. You can just do it in your head. Any consideration right now, should I do this? Ask myself, how do I see myself feeling about this in the next 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years? And by giving you those 3 thoughtful considerations, your perspective will change and it'll reduce that reactionary nature of running a business. So that's the 10-10-10 method. Another thing, it's called the 10-2 method. And it stands for the 10 for today, 2 for tomorrow technique. And it's a real simple task manager. Again, you don't need this paper, but what I want you to do is in stressful times right now, if you take action, many people take a lot of rapid action just in the moment without thoughtful consideration for the future. So what we do here, the 10-2 method, is you just write down right now, what are the top 10 things I need to do? And you write them down. And you can start hacking through it. But when you write down those 10, you have to add 2 additional things. What are things I can do today that are in thought of tomorrow, meaning the future? So what are the 10 things I can do to serve the crisis for the moment? But what are 2 things I can do to start moving my business forward? So we call it the 10 for today, 2 for tomorrow method. And what it does is it starts adding on actions for building our future instead of just surviving in the moment. And that's a way to navigate through it. One more thing I want to show you here is the business hierarchy of needs. And why I wanted to show this thing is probably the most important thing I can share with you. And it's in my new book too, Fix This Next. What I want you to do first, before I show you this business hierarchy of needs in detail, is in your mind, or you can do some piece of paper, I'm going to demonstrate why we struggle and why our businesses, if we are reactionary, will continue to struggle. Here's what you do in this example. Draw the letter A in the center of a piece of paper, on a big piece of paper, whatever. Just draw it right in the middle. What A represents is where our business is right now. So it's in crisis or facing challenges, but wherever you are right now, that's where you are. Step 2 is draw an arrow in any direction you choose, just a little distance coming out from A, away from A. So you can go to the right or up or down or to the left, whatever. But draw an arrow going away. And what the arrow represents is an action that if we take an action now that gets us out of crisis, it'll move us away from crisis. But now what I want you to do is draw that arrow, another arrow in another direction from A away. Maybe this one's up or the other direction. And do this like 4 or 5 times. Arrows out. And what this illustrates is that any action we take that gets us out of crisis gets us out of crisis. But there's a problem, and it reveals itself in step 3. The final step, I want you to draw the letter B in the bottom left corner. So write the letter B and put that in a circle in the bottom left corner of that piece of paper. What B represents is the way out, what your business needs you to do right now. Chances are, if you are following along, the arrows you drew, very few of them, perhaps none of them, went to B. That's why we stay stuck in crisis. This illustration points to the fact that we just focus on the now and escaping it, simply putting us into a new crisis. Most businesses right now are like panicked. They take an action to get out of panic, and they're in a new, sometimes worse panic. We need to know where to go. We need to know B, and this is your B. B is the business hierarchy of needs. And while we don't have time to go into the whole thing, there's 5 levels of needs: sales, profit, order, impact, and legacy. And many businesses right now are thrust back to the base foundational levels. This is based upon Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But at any time, if a business has no sales, it's not creating cash, that business is suffocating. If you have no sales right now, your primary focus needs to be to generate sales. And now you have techniques, new offerings, 1 step back technique, ask your customer. I even gave you a tip of what another chiropractor is doing with subscriptions around posture. You can do that. YouTube videos. So generate sales. Once we generate sales, even if you have just some sales, the question is it adequate to support a degree of profitability? Profitability is the stability of a business. Right now, it's sad, but we're seeing how many businesses were not working on their profit. They've been swimming naked. The tide is out, and those businesses are in real trouble. So regardless of where your business stands today, if you have some sales coming in, we need to put some kind of profit system in so that we start building our sustainability. Even if it's slow and we let it grow, we need to start it. Then we start focusing on order. So I don't have time to go into this full thing, but this is the business hierarchy of needs. Now, I did ask Dr. Barber if I could share. There's one thing I do want to ask you, which I know is a bold ask, but I also am asking this because I know it'll be of service to you. My brand new book, which is right there. It's not that small, by the way. It's just in the distance. It's a little bit bigger than that. It's a real size book. It's called Fix This Next. I wrote Fix This Next specifically to serve businesses in crisis. I never anticipated that we'd be going through this macroeconomic crisis caused by COVID. But this is why I wrote this book. It is to give us thoughtful consideration of the exact one impactful thing to do. And in the book, there's a 25 question sequence you can go through. It takes less than 5 minutes that will pinpoint what to work on and then give you direction on what to do about it. So I want to invite you. Actually, I ask you to buy a copy of Fix This Next because I know it'll serve you. And it's the most affordable, impactful thing I can offer to you because it's $25 or $26. Here's my bold ask. I ask that you buy it right now while we're doing this live presentation, or if you're listening to the recording, get it on Amazon because it will serve you and also serves a selfish interest I have. The more exposure Fix This Next gets right now, because it's in pre-order state, it'll come out in a few weeks. The more exposure it gets, the more the Amazon engine starts marketing it. It starts spreading the word to other entrepreneurs. And I really believe our economy can only be satisfied by us. We just got punched in the face by the global economy, and we must step up and support the economy. It's crazy, but we need to. And small business is the backbone of our economy. So that's why I wrote Fix This Next. If you do elect to purchase now, I am very grateful, and I know it will serve you in the biggest way. That is my promise. I also know it'll build exposure for the book right now when it's most critically needed. So I appreciate you doing that.
Hey, Mike,
I just want to thank Mandy, by the way. I see your comment, Mandy. Thank you for getting the book. It will serve you. I promise you.
Yeah, Mandy, Helen already pre-ordered. I want to I didn't even tell Mike this. This is totally on the spot. What do you think of me buying a book and having you sign it? And one person and anyone who shares this today, this Facebook Live today, will be entered into a drawing to get that book.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That you have signed. And listen, when you go and buy it and you're the winner, right? So
now you have
share
a gift.
This today. Right. Now you have a gift to give to another entrepreneur or your favorite practice member or whatever it happens to be. So go and buy it. That's a great way to tell Mike how much you appreciate him being here today. And then I'll buy one that Mike will sign, and we'll send it to the person, one of the winners from sharing this today. So the rules are you have to share it today, and then I'll pick a winner from those who share it today. So I'll know you shared it because it'll say share and it'll have your name. So Jeannie also said she pre-ordered it.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Rhonda said thank you. So thank you, Mike.
It was my joy. It's my joy. And thank you for everyone for supporting me and getting the book and supporting yourself. And regardless if you get it or not, I just want to thank you for investing the time to be here. Like I said, small business success is more imperative now than ever before. And it sounds crazy because of the challenges we're facing, but we need you to stand up, step forward, and kick some ass. And I hope these tools support you. Keep me posted on your progress, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Have an awesome day and keep kicking ass. Thanks, Mike. See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.